viewers. And we will start with the opening statements. Ken Massey, please go first.
Thank you, Mr. Nickelhoff. And you have been doing this a while. When I was president of COHOP, I had the pleasure of having you moderate the candidates' nights at that time. So thanks for your continued work. I'd also like to thank the Council of Homeowners and the League of Women Voters for setting up tonight's event. Moreover, I'd like to thank the audience, those here in council chambers and those that are viewing at home, for taking the time to become educated about your candidates in this very important election. I'm Ken Massey, and I'm running for the position of mayor in the city of Farmington Hills. Having 3 minutes is very difficult to cover all of the community involvement that I have been doing for the last 12 years. First of all, I'm a lifelong resident of Farmington Hills community and Farmington Township prior to that. I started my public service when I was doing my Eagle Scout community service project. So community service is an integral portion of what I do and what I am. Focusing in on my adult activities, I've been the president of my homeowners association and on that group for about 23 years. I've been the president of the Council of Homeowners Associations and then was elected to council 12 years ago. I've served 3 terms as mayor pro tem, and I currently have that position. I am one of the founding members of our Emergency Preparedness Commission, which is an award-winning organization that has focused on preparing the community by giving them the information they need to be self-sufficient for any potential disaster. I'm also one of the co-founders and the current chair of Farmington Safe, or Suicide Awareness for Everyone, which deals with the issues of mental health, educating the public, reducing stigma, changing the dialogue, and thereby reducing the incidence of suicide. I'm the chairman of the board of Botsford Hospital, now known as Beaumont Farmington Hills, and this happens to be outside of our school district. Botsford Beaumont Health Farmington Hills is our largest employer. I serve the city on committees at the county level, also at the state level with the Michigan Municipal League, the National League of Cities, where I'm on the Public Safety Committee. Professionally, I'm a biomedical scientist and employed by Wayne State University as Senior Director for Venture Development. This combination provides me with the experience, the leadership ability, and the understanding of the issues and challenges that face our residential and business citizens. My style is data-driven, aimed at consensus building and focusing on delivering results. I look forward to addressing your questions, discussing the issues in our community, and their possible solutions. Thank you.
Michael Bridges, your opening statement, please.
Thank you, Andy. I also want to thank you for your long-time service of hosting these forums. We appreciate that. Also, I wanted to thank the Council of Homeowners Association tonight for hosting this forum and the League of Women Voters. Good evening. First, I want to thank everybody for coming. The future of Farmington Hills is an important part of this evening discussion. I am very proud to be part of this strong, vibrant community. That's why I'm working hard to become the next mayor of Farmington Hills. As a longtime resident, I've dedicated my life to serving this community. I chose to raise my children here and make my home here because of the great schools and family atmosphere. I am proud that Farmington Hills is a global community, and as mayor, I work to maintain our rich diversity. I would also work to leverage the strength of our community. You have elected me 3 times over the last decade to serve you on the City Council. That's why I'm committed to much of my life to serving Farmington Hills. Our future is bright. Together, we can continue to grow and thrive as a community. In fact, we are poised for growth because Farmington Hills is fiscally strong. I am proud of the role that I have played during my time on City Council to maintain our AAA bond rating. However, in the midst of our comeback, I realize that many families in Farmington Hills are still working to recover from the recession. They are working with reduced income, and we need to help make sure they have resources in order to make sure they are given the resources they need to deal with the tough times. I understand that issue because I was also a person who experienced a job loss and reduced income. Supporting families means supporting children. One of our community's strongest assets is our children. My commitment to helping children succeed is what drew me to public service. One of my top priorities is to play a role in helping our city remain a welcoming, prosperous, and family-oriented place to live. As next mayor of Farmington Hills, I'll work to keep our city strong, safe, and welcoming. Because I am passionate about the city, I'm ready to promote it and protect it as mayor. I was the first in my family with a college education, so I understand the value of education. In fact, I moved to Farmington Hills because I wanted my sons to attend the Farmington Public Schools. My commitment to ensuring that our school district remain high achieving is based on the strong foundation my sons have received. I want the same for new families in this city as well. As a community, we have an opportunity to attract people who seek the same for their children. We have so much to offer. It is important that Farmington Hills continue to be a strong place to live, work, and play. Thank you.
All right, now we'll proceed to the question and answer portion, and we'll start with Eva Packard, and the candidates will alternate who answers first. Michael Bridges will answer the first question from Eva.
You've both been on the council, and now you're running for mayor. How would you differentiate what you need to do to be an effective mayor?
Well, my point of differentiation would be what I've done on city council is listen to the people. I'm a person that wants to know what the people think about issues. I value what the city administration says, but I'm also more interested in what the people says about issues. So that my differentiation would be the fact that I would be more interested in the people's comments about issues and their opinions, making sure that I am representing the entire community and not listening to just one voice. Thank you.
Ken?
Well, in terms of the mayoral position, what I will say is that in the last management survey that was done in our community, 95% of our residents indicated that they were very happy or extremely happy with the way the direction of the city is going. I want to build on that. And as mayor, which is just an extension of what our city council is, the mayor leads the city council. So I intend to do that leadership, to continue the leadership that I'm currently doing, I should say, working with council to continue the positive growth of the city and to ensure that we deal with some of the issues that are starting to rear their heads, if you will, in the community. Those challenges have to be dealt with proactively. My council members, that as we've been addressing these issues, my council members actually look to myself for advice on some of these issues that pertain to the safety and welfare of the community because of my background. And we will continue that positive growth working together for the community. Thank you.
Deb Kondrowski will ask the next question, and Ken Massey will answer first.
Yes, in the history of Farmington Hills, we haven't always had an elected mayor, but in the years that we have had, there's not been any race, and this is the first time we've actually had a race. May I ask why you want to run for mayor rather than city council?
It's a very interesting question, Deb. Yes, you're correct. We started doing elected mayors in 1994, and in that period of time since 1994, there have only been 3 contested mayoral elections. One way of interpreting that is people were actually satisfied with the previous way we were doing it, where the mayoral seat actually was rotated. Given that we are now electing mayor, I want to run for mayor because I think my leadership style, the working with council, and the work that council needs to do to meet the upcoming challenges of continuing Farmington Hills upward growth needs somebody who has that strong leadership ability. And given that I'm completely supported by everyone on council, with the exception of my opponent, who decided that he wanted to run in this race, I do believe that I have that ability to lead the council.
Thank you. First, just one of the reasons why I got in this race, because when I reviewed the history of the mayor's position in our city, I noticed that there has not been a contested election since 2003. And I believe a democracy works best when there's a choice. I'm offering the citizens a choice. Mr. Massey is part of a planned succession that's happened in the city for the past several years. Whereas the next person runs, he supports that person back and forth. I'm not going to be part of that. I want to offer a new leadership in our city and not be part of some planned succession. My approach toward being mayor would be a strong mayor, to make sure the city is given the opportunity for success and recognize the problems facing the city, specifically looking at the issue of the property taxes, how they're being weighed down because of the effect of Proposal A in Headley. Also making sure our schools are also the strongest schools in the state. I recognize a strong school means a strong city. So my approach to being mayor would be far different from Mr. Massey. I would not be part of a planned succession. I would be a person independent and making sure, working with council to look at goals and objectives for the city, but also focusing on economic development, our schools, as well as making sure that our city have a very good quality of life. Thank you.
Terry?
Follow up on that question regarding the schools, how would you as mayor interact with the school board since the school is actually under their control?
That's a good question. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm running for mayor, because it's been a long time. When I got on council in 2008, I recognized there was a strained relationship between the school board and the city council. And that I thought was not productive. So I sought to change it. What I did is Mayor Ellis and I met with the president of the school board at that time and vice president to seek ways of cooperation and understanding and look for ways to cooperate and share services. In 2010, I attended a joint committee meeting between Farmington Hills, City of Farmington, and Public Schools. At that meeting, I proposed a standing committee made up of representatives from the Farmington City Council, Hills Council, as well as school board, and with staff people, focusing on ways to cooperate and share services, and also come up with one vision. So that's the kind of person I've done regarding schools. I strongly support our schools. I have not been an advocate of the strained relationship at all. I've been promoting a positive with our schools. And I really believe that our schools are one of our major assets in our community. Our strong schools mean a strong city.
So there is no argument that the strong schools issue, when we have strong and vibrant schools, that adds to the fabric of our community. That's not an issue. But I will address the issue of strong mayor. Interestingly, in our charter that I have read, we have a strong city manager form of government, and to move to a strong mayoral form of government, or even suggest that, indicates that one does not completely understand the charter, which is the laws by which govern this particular community. The statement that there was an issue with the schools, the City Council of Farmington Hills and the City of Farmington meet with our schools and have every year since long before I was on council, elected 12 years ago. There have been numerous boards that have looked at ways of sharing services. In fact, later on you will hear in the council comments, Dr. Randy Bruce was in fact appointed and worked with Frank Reed and then Tom Buck from the City of Farmington on that exact thing. So to make a statement that somebody proposed something that had been done a long time ago is a very interesting statement. City Council influences the schools, we give them information, we reflect what the city needs, and then we have to support them in the difficult decision-making that they need to do. That's how we'll get back to having strong schools.
Eva, you have the next question.
No time for rebuttal?
Well, we actually don't have a
Thank you.
rebuttal
Go ahead.
built into our program, so,
Okay.
but you can take time from your
Thank you.
next answer
All right, thank you.
for that.
What unique qualities and skills or perspective would you bring to the office of mayor?
Unique skills and perspectives. One is a leadership skill. My job, I have been trained in governance. That's why I'm the chairman of the board of Botsford Hospital. I understand the difference between governance, which is a leadership role, and that of management. Too often, members of council may want to think that they can alter what our city management does. I understand the difference. I also have the ability to look at data and see trends that, as a scientist being trained in that way, that's my job. So we can look at the data and direction of this city and notice that we are starting to have some issues. We have an issue of homelessness that we never had previously. We have an issue of heroin abuse, and we lost 26 people to heroin overdoses. just like we were losing people to cardiac arrest previously, when I proposed that we put AEDs in every police car to actually reduce the response time and improve the chain of survivability for an out-of-hospital arrest. Now I'm proposing we put Narcan in every police car so that we improve the lifespan, life expectancy of a potential heroin overdose. All of that said, it's a matter of being able to look at what the issue is, bring people together to evaluate those issues, and come up with a solution to the problem.
Thank you. First, I wanted to just say that in regards to Narcan, it's already part of the police department's repertoire, armamentarium regarding handling heroin abusers. We were told that last week. So that's already part of the fire department as well as the police department. In regards to the schools, Mr. Massey in his tenure on council at times has also added to the strained relationship between the schools and the city council. He's added to it. He has been a person that basically would go out his way to criticize the schools on several occasions. And in my viewpoint, he did not have the perspective recognizing the community is one community, one school, schools and city work together. He operated on a fashion of criticizing our schools on a regular basis, and we did not recognize the fact that schools are part of this community. I would not be a mayor like that. I would recognize the entire community of Farmington Hills, recognizing that schools are very important toward property values, attracting new families and businesses to this community. I would not be part of an effort to tear down our schools. And Mr. Massey at times had done that. That's been his tenure. And now he's going to talk about he's want to be pro-school. But in the past, he has not been that way. Thank you.
Deb?
There are a number of issues that face our city government today. What would you say is your number one priority issue that faces the city, and what would you do about it?
Michael Bridges, you have the first answer.
Thank you. I have three top goals here. One is that what I just spoke about, city and school cooperation. That is an essential and most important issue we should be facing right now, is that our schools are facing enormous challenges. When I walk and knock on doors, talk to residents, what they tell me about schools. They're very happy with the community of Farmington Hills, but they are concerned about the schools, particularly parents with kids in schools. So that'll be my number one priority, reaching out to the schools to see how we can cooperate, work together for one common vision for Farmington Hills. I would also seek to reactivate that committee I started to look at ways to share services, come up with one vision for the community. That would be my number one priority. Number two, I would also work on commercial redevelopment of Orchard Lake Road and the CIA Granville Corridor as well. I would also be very much involved in transparency and accountability. I think there's some opportunities in our community that we are not doing that could also be helpful from a standpoint of improving community access to Farmington Hills, to city government. I will be supporting that as well. Thank you.
So in terms of the answer to the last question, obviously, Mr. Bridges does not understand Narcan is not currently carried in police cars, but I didn't expect him to understand that. That said, yeah, I love that I didn't support the schools. But we'll move on because saying it repeatedly is not going to make something true. You didn't start anything. My top issues are protecting public safety, because if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, being safe is one of our primary needs. People cannot reach their true level of performance if we don't have a safe and vibrant community. I will be a strong advocate for the city of Farmington Hills and for its residents, bringing people together from different perspectives to solve the issues. And then Farmington Hills needs to be a center of innovation and economic growth. My background with Wayne State as their Senior Director for Venture Development, I start companies. I help faculty members start companies. I have my own small company. In all of those things, we need to be able to ensure that entrepreneurs come to our city, they have the resources that they need to be able to start their business, and then once their businesses start to flourish, jobs improve, housing improves, property values are going to be improving, and ultimately the city becomes stronger through those means.
Harry, you're next.
How would you, as mayor, attract more families to Farmington Hills City?
The attraction, the ways to attract people to Farmington Hills, you have to have a vibrant city with great city services. We have that. So you can check that one off the list. You have to have a safe city. We have that. You can check that off the list. The schools have to deal with their issues. We have to support them in doing that. And that's what, that will take a piece of it. But the best thing is going to be opportunities for having employment and strong property values. And as I just kind of iterated, if we have businesses that provide jobs, people will want to purchase homes, property values go up, and ultimately we can deal with the issues that confront us with those improvements, and families will come to Farmington Hills. Right now, we are losing out on some of that. I'll bring up an issue, roads. Some of our roads are in very bad shape in our residential communities, and people are bypassing us to go out to the communities that are 30 years behind us, at Novi, South Lyon, and so forth. We need to pay attention to that infrastructure, get those things improved, and people will be coming back to Farmington Hills because our value proposition exceeds those other communities.
Thank you. First, in regards to roads, Mr. Massey brought up roads. One of the reasons why our neighborhood roads are in the shape they are, because Mr. Massey supported an $11 million expenditure for this building. This building is 60% occupied, and we've saved about $50,000 a year. That's about a 200-year payback for this building. And I'm all for energy conservation, sustainability, but when you look at the return on investment in this building, it has impacted our roads. We didn't have a maintenance program for the last 7 years for roads at all. So we are somewhat responsible for neighborhood roads by basically, Mr. Massey voted for that, for that building to be constructed. I voted against it in 2009. I voted against it.
It's actually Dr. Massey,
Hold on.
so please get that.
Mr. Massey. So he voted for the building to be constructed, and it basically drained our maintenance budget for our roads. So we are complicit from a standpoint neighborhood roads deteriorating, in my viewpoint. Secondly, in regards to how to be attractive to new families, is make sure that we maintain our safe city designation, make sure we maintain our city services, and also make sure that we are attractive to new families. Our schools are #1 in the state. Thank you.
Eva, you're going to ask the next question, and I think we all appreciate the enthusiasm of these candidates, but I would ask that you each let the other finish their statement, and that's, that way we'll proceed in an orderly manner. So
Thank you.
Eva, you have the next
Well,
question.
Mr. Nicklehoff,
I'm sorry.
it was just as a point of correction, I have a title and I'd appreciate it.
I'm sorry.
Being used appropriately. That's all I was correcting him on. Thank you.
Okay.
We talked about attracting families. How would you attract businesses and grow the city's economic base?
Well, as an experienced businessman, I understand the fact you need an environment of prosperity and strength for businesses to relocate in Farmington Hills. We are fiscally strong. We have a safe city. I would also make sure that we work with businesses to find out what they're looking for in the city. How can we change the city to be more attractive? So Farmington Hills is poised for growth. We are fiscally strong. We do have a low tax rate, and we are a safe city. So I would definitely work with our Economic Development Corporation and the City Council to make sure we're marketing the city in the right places, and also seeking advice from people who invest in the city as well, developers. Thank you.
So how do we attract businesses? We ensure that we are business welcoming and business ready. The facts are is that the businesses are already coming to Farmington Hills. Perhaps you didn't get that memo, because we have Daimler headquarters has just relocated here. Their North American headquarters is here. Google is taking up residence at 12 Mile and Farmington Road in November. We have 3 new hotels being built just at Farmington and 12. Another one up as we finish the roundabout at 14 and Orchard. That area is starting to improve. Molly has tripled their size, their footprint. Hitachi and Panasonic have both expanded or moved into the city of Farmington Hills, bringing in hundreds of jobs. Businesses are coming to our city, but where we are going to get our next economic boon is not in the form of poaching businesses coming out of other communities, but rather starting to grow businesses here. To do that, we need to ensure that our ordinances and our zoning is appropriate, that we can work with businesses so that they can expand when they come here, that they have the resources through the library or through the city to get networked with the things that will help them grow. If we do that, we will have homegrown businesses. Those people will locate in our community, and we will be all the stronger for it.
Deb?
You've both served the city for a number of years and on city council. I'd like to know if either of you have any regrets. Are there any things that you would like to have changed or had it gone a different way?
Regrets regarding our tenure on council?
Any regrets in regard to your experience on city council?
Okay. I'm sorry, Ken first?
Yeah, Ken is
Great,
first.
Ken, you're up.
Actually, to be perfectly honest, no, I don't think that I have any regrets. I have enjoyed my service on council. One of the things that I've enjoyed most is being able to assist my neighbors, my fellow residents, when somebody has a question. They can call up, their trash wasn't picked up. We can connect them up with Kevin McCarthy. We can be able to actually help out and solve those day-to-day problems that plague us. And I've also had the opportunity to represent this community at the county. I serve on the Oakland County Drug Abuse Partnership Program, at the state with the Michigan Municipal League, and at the national level, the National League of Cities, where I sit on the Public Safety Steering Committee. And at that, even there, while I don't have any actual regrets, I'm very proud of the fact that I co-authored a resolution with the then head of the Human Development Committee, Dr. Bruce, that requested funding to go to our, increased funding streams to go to our police departments for dealing with mental health issues, so that they didn't track people with mental illnesses into the criminal justice system, but rather now into the mental health system. And the fact of the matter is that resolution went up, it got lobbied on the Hill, and they're now starting to increase that funding. So the city of Farmington Hills and our participation played a role in changing that.
What I regret is that in 2009, I was unable to convince the city council to not spend $11 million on this building. That I offered the city council at that time a $3 million proposal to basically do three things. One, consolidate the energy systems, which will provide an immediate rate of return to the city. Secondly, bring the building up to ADA compliance. And thirdly, fix the roof. That $8 million remaining would have been great for our roads and other resources for the city. I regret I was unable to convince the council to do that. I also regret the fact that the city council never had taken my proposal to have a city manager evaluation. We have a city that's basically has a manager not even evaluated. Private sector, in your job, you evaluate it. Mr. Massey stood in the way of that for many years, of a city manager evaluation. Why, I don't know. You're paying an individual $150,000 a year, he's not being evaluated. I propose a program to deal with that. So I regret my inability to convince the city council to not to build this building, and number two, not to get a city manager evaluation. Thank you.
Terry West, you're next.
To follow up on that question, the City Hall, I understood there would be some savings in the method or in the way we built the home. Can you respond to the savings, if any?
Savings? Who helped me? Okay. Yes.
Quick.
I've researched that. I've asked this is part of the transparency and accountability aspect that I also want to improve. I've asked for several years from city administration provide information regarding energy savings for this building. I was able to get some. $50,000 a year is the maximum. Talking about $11 million, $50,000 a year annual savings, 200 years of payback. Not a good investment. We look at that. Secondly, you have a building here that's basically 60% occupied. Too big for the employees in this building. So energy savings are very important, no question about that, your question, but It was basically around $60,000 a year of energy savings a year. That's all we have here. Basically, that's it. Mr. Massey responded to that. Go ahead.
It's Dr. Massey, if you can get that right. I'll just keep reminding you, you'll eventually hear it. All of that said, you need to check your numbers because our old city hall was costing us $3,700 a month just in heating and cooling costs. When we saved the money for this city hall, which we knew we had to do, we saved it over about a 12-year period. It actually only cost about $8.4 million to build it. The efficiencies that are built into this that are green at the LEED Gold certified level are actually saving us $400,000 a year. Might want to check your numbers there, which means we pay it off in 20 years. It's a 50-year design. We're good to budget for the next 30 years. And in fact, this city hall has been a hallmark, an award-winning hallmark, that when the Japanese consulate came to the United States to see how energy-efficient municipal buildings could be, the Department of Energy sent them to Farmington Hills to see what we were doing and what we were doing right. In terms of, so the numbers, we also did it at a time where we preferred contracting, so our original estimate of $12.5 million to build it ended up being about 8.4. And just in my final seconds with this, the city manager evaluation, it is absolutely ludicrous to say that we don't evaluate our city managers. We evaluate each and every one of the employees that the city council deals with. And there are only three: the city manager, the city clerk, and the city attorney.
Eva Packard, would you like to ask the next question?
On the ballot with the candidates is the school district operating millage renewal. Do you support or oppose it, and why?
I'm sorry, on the ballot?
The millage renewal for schools?
Yes.
Do you support or oppose it, and why?
The millage renewal for the schools is absolutely key. The community had issues with the bonds for the bricks and mortar over the last couple of years. That finally passed, but this operating millage, which is for people, the school board definitely needs to have, or the school system has to have that. And they still have difficult decisions to make. That's a separately elected body, that's a separately chartered body, and I would certainly support that, along with the support for the public safety millage, because what we do and the way we can continue to be a strong city are to continue those renewals. They are not increases in taxes, they're just continuing what's currently there.
First, I would like for the media and others to verify this claim that Mr. Massey, we have a city manager evaluation. There is none. Secondly, regarding energy savings, $50,000 a year. Verify that as well. In 2008, 2009, when this building was being considered, we were in the midst of a recession, actually a depression in Michigan. General Motors and Chrysler had not bankrupt yet, but we spending $11 million. Secondly, in regards to that, we've seen many of our citizens basically lose their jobs, operating on reduced income. Now they're going to be asked to spend $18,000, $20,000 a year for an assessment for roads, largely because of the fact that Mr. Massey voted for a project that basically resulted in the elimination of maintenance dollars for roads. Thank you.
All right, that concludes our question and answer segment. Now the candidates will deliver their closing statements. Michael Bridges, you will be first.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. It's been very enlightening and also helpful to me. Once again, thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum, also the Council of Homeowners Association. I am proud to serve the city of Farmington Hills. We have many assets, from thriving neighborhoods to beautiful parks. We have strong commercial corridor. This is a great city. One of my top priorities to play a role in helping our city remain a welcoming, prosperous, family-oriented place to live. And I know we can achieve greatness together, because working together as one community is important to our continued success. Not only for our families, but our businesses. We must offer an atmosphere of strength and prosperity. As a businessman, I understand the importance of creating an environment where existing business can thrive and new businesses can succeed. That's why I'll make sure they have the resources they need and the environment they need to be successful. It is important to keep our neighborhoods and commercial corridors beautiful, strong, and safe. We are a city with infinite potential. It takes all of us working together, government, business, and community working together to create a strong city. I am a collaborative leader, who has spent my professional career working to solve problems. As your next mayor, I'll use my experience on city council to find common ground and achieve success. I am poised to use what I've learned over the years to make our city a greater and better city. My goal is to be a strong and effective leader and ambassador for Farmington Hills. I need your vote. To stay strong, we need each other. That's how we continue to strengthen our city. So on November 3rd, I ask for your vote, Mike Bridges for mayor of Farmington Hills. Thank you.
Well, community members have the opportunity to evaluate two very different candidates. And you need to ask yourself what it is you want in a mayor. Mayors have to be able to lead, they have to be committed, they have to be dedicated, and this campaign process is purely just an extended job application process. About 3 weeks ago, we had the opportunity to present our views to you, and my opponent didn't see fit to show up at that first interview, so one questions his commitment to the job. And I would suggest further, when you hear people say things like, we have no city manager evaluation process, that does not even follow in any logical sense, because in a community this large, that's a strong city manager form of government. So just the ability to consider even the logical argument that we wouldn't evaluate somebody is, would call that into question. So you've heard my views and answers to these questions that have been posed tonight, and I'm pleased to have the opportunity to answer questions. I know I've heard these things from them and what's on the minds of our residents because I've been walking throughout the community. And the consensus is we have a great community. I've already pointed out that many residents are very happy, and that was substantiated by that survey, our management survey, that's also mandated by the charter, in case there's any question about that we do every 5 years. I don't want to change what people are happy with. There are challenges. We talked about some of those, some of the health safety challenges that are coming up, the homelessness, the issues with heroin. We need to deal with those to be a strong and vibrant community. We are attracting businesses, so we want to keep doing that. Working together, we can overcome those challenges. It takes following, and I would actually question why, if anybody's going to be following, why is it that no elected official that's ever worked with my opponent is supporting him? That tells you that some people are out trying to lead, but nobody's following. While representing the city, I built a strong track record of delivering results. I work with my peers and I address challenges. Because of my experience and style, I'm endorsed by all current and past city council members, except my opponent, former mayors Bates, Ellis, former mayor and state rep Vicki Barnett, our police officers, our firefighters, our command officers, and Mayor Brickner, who is supporting me, said, I've worked with Ken for 12 years, and he is the person with the experience and track record to hit the ground running as our next mayor. Well, why? It's because when we put aside partisanship and agendas, together we make a difference. Be part of the team. Support our continued progress as a great city. Cast your vote for Ken Massey as your next mayor on November the 3rd. If you want to learn more, please visit my website, ken-massey.com. Thank you very much for your attention, learning about us, and thank you for your questions.
All right, thank you to these candidates. We appreciate their participation tonight. We're going to take a short break while we set up for the city council candidates.